That's 3 months worth.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Morning.
Hey Cal. Hector and I just saying this is number 6. So 3 months worth of webinars.
I'm sitting here a little dumbfounded that we've lasted that long doing these things without laughing out loud.
Yeah, but we're still doing them, which is good. Actually, we're just starting to get our legs under us. So this is where it actually starts to get interesting. So what we're going to talk about today is how systemization affects your business financially. So how it affects your money, how it affects your income, how it affects the real stuff.
This is where the rubber meets the road. We've talked about why you should systemize your business and how you should systemize your business. Here's the nitty gritty of what it does to you financially. And I'll talk about that in a second, but what's it really worth to you, and is it really worth doing to your business? So think about where you systemize your business. And if you remember the one we did 2 weeks ago, was it? Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we talked about systemization of your administration functions, your accounting functions, your communications functions, customer relations, your employee functions, particularly the HR functions that they follow, the manuals, that sort of thing. Your marketing and sales capabilities, and lastly, your data management and data control and data security. So they're the things where you can make the most difference in systemization of your business. So if you haven't got that particular webinar under your belt, go back and have a look at it. It'll be recorded, and understand why and how we're doing these things to start with. And then we'll look at this one, which is the financial aspect of it. And look, it's painful. There's no question about it. No one ever wants to do their financial stuff. They all go, oh, we'll worry about that later. That's why there are Hilux utes out there full of dockets with boot prints on them, because no one wants to do the numbers. They hand it to their accountant and say, oh, you go and do it. And their tax return costs them $5,000 instead of $1,000 because they've got a whole bunch of crap that they don't want to touch themselves. I understand. It's hard. So if you systemize this stuff and you do it little bit by little bit every week and follow the system, it gets a lot easier. It gets a lot cheaper. We won't even go into the financial ramifications of not doing your accounting on a weekly basis. That's too scary.
Yeah, that one. Well, the statistics show it anyway.
Yeah.
What, the first 12 months, how many businesses make it through?
Look, probably 60% make it through the first 12 months. Around about 50% make it to 2 years. That's just on guts. The third year, they're down to probably 40% have made it. By year 5, it's somewhere close to 20% in Australia. It's actually higher in Australia than a lot of other countries. In Germany, for instance, you have to pass a test before you can set up a business.
Yep.
And if you don't pass your annual test, it's like a roadworthy. If you don't pass your annual test, they shut your business down for you and pay it out and liquidate it, and you go and do something else. And I think you've got to wait 5 years before you can start another business in Germany. So yeah, they're a little bit smarter on what they do. We've got 1.8, 1.9 million small businesses in Australia because we don't have enough regulation to make people do it right.
But everyone gives it a go. They certainly do.
They do that. So this is where we start talking about killing off your sacred cows. And it's okay to knock over your sacred cows. They're probably the reason that your business isn't as effective as it could be. But what is systemization in that respect actually worth to your business? So how much time do you save? Okay, let's break that down. Paul, in our business, if we take the admin function and systemize it, which we've done, and we saved an hour a day on admin. How many hours is that, Paul?
7 hours a week.
It is, because we're working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Simple. Just like you.
Small business owners.
So we take those Sundays where you're going to watch the football and you end up doing the bookkeeping instead. That's the fanatics. So if we take our admin functions and we save 7 hours a week, and we took our accounting function and you installed Xero,
yep,
and you cut your day-to-day accounting by an hour a day, how many hours a week would that be, Paul?
I'm going to say 7. 7 days a week. Anyway, for this example, we're saying 7 days.
We're saying you're working 7 days a week because you're out of control. And I know not everyone will be, but I tell you what, a lot of you are. So we're going to say 49 hours a week. Now, that's an entire week worth of work. So you go from working 100 hours a week to 50 hours a week. Sounds like a pipe dream. No, you don't. You spend 100 hours a week working on stuff that makes you money and the stuff that's keeping score. We're trying to take away 49 hours of the stuff that's keeping score.
Yeah.
We can then turn that into money making. Now, if we've got 7 hours a week saved, we could give that off to say you're not doing it yourself. Say you've got an employee doing it. You're paying them $25 an hour. 49 by 25.
That's cheap.
Let's say 50. That's pretty cheap. I know I paid my staff more than that. That's about $1,250 a week saved.
Yep.
By 50 weeks, that's $64,000 a year saved right there by systemising and not doing the work or having someone do that work because it's put into a system.
Yeah, and people don't realise it. And we've seen it each time a business has set up systems. And you've seen it even in the early days. Yeah. It was just paper-based systems. Those businesses, the earning capacity basically doubled for a lot of them.
Well, it's not their earning capacity. Here's the secret. That $64,000 is free money. So that becomes profit. So if you're already profitable, let's say you're making, I don't know, $1,500 a week profit. So you're making $70,000 a year, which is about the average wage. Seriously, it is the average wage. It's about $84,000 now in Australia. So it's about the average wage. If you're already making $70,000 and you add another $65,000 to it, you're at $135,000 a year profit, not $70,000 a year. Would an extra $65,000 a year profit make a difference? I mean, what would you do with $65,000 a year apart from pay tax?
I don't think people realise the power of it. Like when we sat down and talked with Christine and Storm
last week
and talked about it, their eyes just about popped out of their heads.
It took them 3 goes though to get it.
It did. It did. They sort of glossed over it. Then it's like, oh heck, if we actually do this, we're going to have ourselves a business that's one, it's going to make enough for them to live comfortably.
That's right.
2, it's going to be expandable. Yeah. And 3, when they go to sell it, we're going to talk about that later.
We can. When they go to sell it, we will talk about later the fact that there's a system in place and you can actually sell it to someone else and they can understand it, so you don't have to spend 6 months explaining it to them. So we've saved 64 grand. Our profit's gone from 70 to 135,000. Okay?
Yep.
Which is 134,000. What do you do with those other 49 hours that you've got back? What if you put 50 of them, 70% of them, let's say you put 35 of them into actually doing billable work, something that you can charge for, and your time was worth $100 an hour when you're doing sales work.
Yeah.
So you've made 35 hours by 100. How many is that for?
3,500.
Yep.
35 by 100.
Yep. $3,500 a week.
Yep.
How many is that a year?
150,000.
About $165,000 a year.
65, yeah.
So our profit has gone from 70,000 to 135,000, and we're adding another 165. We're at $300,000 a year profit. Would that make a difference?
Make a difference.
I know it's an idiot question, but you've got to ask yourself this question to work out why you do this, why you do the extra work of setting up Systemisation in the first place. And the difference is you've gone from $70,000 to $300,000. It's a $230,000 profit difference. Yeah, you've got a tax problem, whatever.
And I saw it happen. It happened in 18 months.
Yeah.
Went from a $200,000 a year business, 1.8 million.
Well, yeah, you did that practical example.
Practically, exactly that.
So what does that extra profit do for you? Well, here's how you sell a business. And I explained this to a couple last night and their eyes simply popped out. Here's how you sell a business. When you go to sell a business, forget goodwill. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing. There used to be goodwill 30, 40 years ago. It stopped. So what you sell a business for is the stock you've got on hand, plus your plant and equipment at value, current value. And if it's worn out and 15 years old, it may not be worth much. Plus a multiple of your annual average profit for the last 3 years. So if your average profit for the last 3 years has been $20,000 and your stock on hand is $100,000 and your plant and equipment's $100,000, and you've got decent systems in place and you're making $20,000 a year profit, your business is worth 100 plus 100 plus 60 is 260,000. Wait. If you've got $100,000 stock on hand and you've got $100,000 plant and equipment and your profit is $300,000 a year and you've done that 3 years running, your business is worth 100 plus 100 plus $900,000. So your $260,000 a year business, or a $260,000 sale for your business, this is your exit strategy, this is what we're talking about, has become $1.1 million. Would that make a difference in your life? Your call.
And we've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Seen it happen that many times. It's not funny. This is actually the big reason why we set up the systems. Like I've built businesses, I've seen good money come in, I've seen people make great profits from it, change their lifestyles and things like that, and that is brilliant. I've done it pretty well for our own business as well.
Yep. Sitting
very comfortably. But the challenge is helping other businesses get there. It's helping other businesses realise it.
The challenge is changing people's mindset.
And that's the biggest thing, is the thing what goes on up here is where it kills them every time.
Challenge is turn off the TV, turn off the brain, start doing it right.
And it's not rocket science. It is not complicated. It is not that hard to do. But the blockers in people's heads is where the biggest challenge is. Yeah. It's like, well, one, I can't earn that much money. I'm not worth that much. And for a lot of people...
That's the first catch for most people, is they don't believe that they deserve the success they get when they work hard.
Yep.
Okay.
The other one is that it doesn't work like that. They just don't believe it. Yeah. They don't believe that they can take...
this is not possible. I've never seen anyone do this. And really hang around with a better class of people.
Exactly. Yeah, you probably hang around with the wrong people. You know, if they're sitting around drinking beers on a Friday afternoon and talking about football, probably not the kind of people that are going to be expanding their business to that sort of level.
We can't say that definitely, but the guy or the girl who's neglecting their business to do that may not be serving their own interest long term. The objective of going into business, we've said this in the past, the objective of going into business is not to be in business. It's to sell the business at the end for a profit. And if you've got a surefire method of increasing the profitability to increase the value of your business when you sell it, why wouldn't you use it?
Why wouldn't you? So how much is systemising worth to your business? How much can you charge out as an hourly rate? What is your top hourly rate? If you can get rid of all the administration tasks that chew up your profitable time and free you up to actually do that, what is that worth to you? What is that worth to your business?
Exactly.
And then what is that worth if you can bring on other people, like a business manager, to go and find that work and charge them out at that rate?
Yep.
As well as you.
And
that's with two people then, not just one.
A friend of mine asked me to come and talk to one of their friends, a husband and wife team who've got a business. They're about to expand from 2 to 5 technicians on the road. And he said, what do I need to systemise my business? Jacob's told me that I can talk to you and you can get your business systemised and make more money. And I said, well, the first thing I'd suggest you do is some sort of app so that you can control how much time you guys are spending on site versus how much they're recording they spend on the jobs, because he's got guys that go out on the road and do work, diesel fitters and mechanics. And he said, how much would that cost? I said, somewhere between $10,000 and $25,000. No, not going to spend that. Okay, so you're happy to spend $80,000 a year on wages for these guys to waste time, but you're not prepared to spend $10,000 to $20,000 on keeping track of how much time they're actually wasting. How much is their charge-out rate? And I said, well, it's $130 an hour. I said, okay, so 200 hours and that you've lost in a year, and there's the cost of the app. What if it saves you $400 in a year? Nah, not doing it. So what we ended up doing was taking 2 off-the-shelf packages, which will give him some benefit. And when he sees those benefits, I think in probably 6 months, he'll come back to us and start to talk sense. But he's still, do I really have to spend $150 a month to systemise my business? Well, yeah, because at the moment you're running the whole thing out of an Excel spreadsheet. That includes your invoices. I love this. He's got his business set up in a spreadsheet, and every invoice is a tab on the spreadsheet. He said, sometimes the spreadsheet freezes up. I'm like,
that's
really? How many invoices are stuck on the spreadsheet? Oh, about 1,500.
I recommend people use Excel in the very beginning, like in the first few weeks, just to get it
learn what
laid out.
Learn what it meant to look like,
but
and then make it.
More than a few weeks, it crashes. I know from experience. Hector's been there. He knows exactly how that happens.
Been there, done that.
Excel works for a very short period of time. It's generally 2 weeks to a month. After that,
I don't know. I've been using it for 17 years, and it's starting to get a bit sketchy now. But I know a lot about Excel, so I changed the spreadsheet every week, and I've tried to cut some of the data out of it. It's just getting to a point though where I've had to, now that I've got 9 staff in that business, I've had to look at getting some sort of app up and running so that I don't have the problems of losing data. But that's a whole other question. Getting back to our exit strategy, if the reason that you're in business is to give yourself a job and you're making less than you would earn in a comparable job out in the marketplace, seriously consider, if you're not prepared to change, seriously consider bundling the business up, giving it a coat of paint, and selling it to someone else who wants a job. There's no reason to work for yourself if you're making less money than if you work for someone else, apart from the aggravation of working for someone else. And I've been through that too.
I don't know, like working for yourself can be pretty aggravating too. Like I've had customers that have driven me like literally to the very edge of sanity. probably past it.
Yeah,
Actually,
fair
if you
enough.
ask my wife, I'm probably well past that point anyway. But I've had customers, so I'd say,
Am I one of those customers, Paul?
no, you're not, otherwise I wouldn't be in business with you. So yeah, like buying yourself a job just so that you can lay awake at night and wake up at 3 a.m. worrying about, oh, I just remembered I forgot to pay that bill. Can get fines on that one. Is not a good way to be living. Like if you can work in an industry where you're getting paid top rate, as opposed to run a business in that industry, you're going to walk away for a lot more money.
Actually, what Paul's talking about, staying awake, waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning in a cold sweat and not being able to get to sleep until 5 when it's too late to go back to sleep again anyway. Here's how to solve that. If you systemize your business and you made, let's say, an extra 20 grand in the first 3 months, don't spend it. Put it in a bank account. Have it sitting there so that if there is something that comes up, like a bill that you really have to meet urgently, have the money in the bank account. Don't spend that money either. Next time you've got money coming in, pay that bill and never go below $20,000 in your bank account. The peace of mind that it gives you is extraordinary. Now, $20,000 might not be enough for you, or it might be too much, but have a set limit that you've always got enough money to cover any contingency sitting in your bank accounts. A lot of your stress in business will go away. Doing this, systemizing your business will make it a lot easier to do that because you know what's coming. And if you're doing your accounting on a regular basis, you know what's coming and you know how much you've got. That's a really important thing that a lot of people miss.
It is.
They get stressed because they don't know that there's revenue coming to cover the bills that they know are coming.
And probably people are thinking, oh, it's hard. You don't realise, I've got these bills to pay. I've got
We've all got bills to pay.
I've got expenses coming in. We're trying to expand the business. I've got to keep spending the money. Yeah, but you need to have a reserve. You need to have some sort of buffer there. Otherwise, you're going to hit the wall. You're not going to make it back onto the other side. You won't have the resources.
Having a reserve in place means you don't have to worry about making arrangements with the tax office when you have to pay your PAYG or you've got a big BAS or GST bill to pay. So there's that. So you don't have to worry about those because they're covered. Having that reserve means that when you go to a bank and you do ask them for a loan and they go, well, what assets you got? You go, well, I've got this business that's moderately successful and I've got a $20,000 cash buffer there so that I don't have any problems with that. And the bank manager goes, oh, prudent thinker. We'd be inclined to loan to this guy because lending is getting a lot harder to get these days. If you're watching the news, the housing market is getting tighter. Why would you increase the productivity in your business? These are the practical reasons.
Yep. And you don't have to do it alone. Like there's a lot of support out there. We actually run a Facebook group as well, and we chat quite regularly in there. We also do a fair bit of networking, and we catch up with people. And we run workshops. We actually teach people how to do this, how to set it up, and we actually walk them through it, hold them, their hand, and take them through it step by step on how to do it, as well as connecting with other people who are doing the same thing. So it's not like a foreign thing that you have to go and do by yourself. It's something you can do with a group.
It's that you're not in business by yourself, you're in business for yourself, or the other way around, whoever you want to say. But if you've got a support group, people who know what they're doing, people who've got some understanding of what goes on in business, that you can fall back on and say, hey, I've got this particular problem. How can I change what I'm doing to improve things for the future? And know that you're not going to have to pay $2,000 a month to some hotshot business coach because you're his only client. But you can get sensible advice from people who've been down the path before. Join the group. Join a group. Don't join the ones that cost you $15,000 a year. Yeah. There's a reason they're costing $15,000 a year. Someone's pocketing the money. It's their business model and you're part of it.
So it is simple. You need written systems. You need step-by-step processes on how things get done. Yep. You will need some software to keep track of things, just because it keeps things in nice.
Paper diary is not going to cut it.
No.
Nor is the shoebox.
No. You're going to need some sort of accountability system. As soon as you put someone on, even for yourself, you need some way to check that you've done the job. You need a referral thing that you go back and do your quality assurance.
Yep.
And then you need some metrics. You need your reporting.
That's right.
To have a look on how you are performing.
Yep.
So those are the most basic things you need to systemize your business. So your step-by-step processes, sometimes called standard operating procedures.
Yep.
Your follow-up or compliance.
Yep. Some knowledge of what industry standards are in respect of your type of business. For instance, if you're in the restaurant game and you're paying 40% of your of your total revenue in food costs because you want to deliver the very, very best that's available, stop it. You shouldn't be paying more than 27%. But if you don't know that at the outset, then talk to someone who does. And once you've got that into a system, you can get other people to buy that stuff for you, to be your purchasing officer in a business as it's growing, for argument's sake, and they know what your expectations are. So systemisation is writing systems that they can follow and that they will follow and that you can check up on regularly. We've got software deliberately designed to do that.
Yep. And it's a fairly simple process to set up.
Yep.
It's the headspace change that is the biggest issue. And if you do that for a group of people, it's actually not that difficult to get it set up and get it happening.
So when you come to one of our meetings, you'll sit around and say, like, oh, hi, I'm Hector, I'm a recovering workaholic. No, I'm just joking. But what you will have to do, is change the way you think about where you're at in business. Because if you're like, no, it'll be right, I've got it covered, I'll overcome. Well, it'll steamroll you. It will get you every single time. You can't just bash through. The way business is set up in Australia, you've got to be smarter rather than work harder in your business. You've got to be smarter because it's difficult. There's a lot of regulation that we actually follow in Australia as opposed to other countries where it's easier and cheaper. And there's a fairly high tax threshold that you have to meet in terms of your business. Once you start making profits, then you will have to pay tax. If you stop doing that, the tax department will pursue you. I know I make the tax guys sound like a bogeyman, but they're probably the biggest problem you're going to have once you start making profits.
They are, yeah, especially once you get into that higher.
And if you ignore them, they will not go away.
Yeah, and they will come and get you, and your business will be gone.
They're like a melanoma. If you ignore it, it'll get you.
So having proper compliance and quality assurance built into your business is a must. And there's software out there that does that. It's not something you have to worry about, but it's something you do have to address.
Yep. So to sum up, because we're nearly out of time on this one, administration. Are there systems that will handle your administration? Yes, there are. There are more efficient ways to handle job processing and order processing, all of your printing functions, cleaning, rosters, all that sort of thing. There's software specifically designed for that. In our workshops, we'll talk about that. Accounting. We recommend Xero. Why? Because it's just a lot easier to use than the others. But if you're stuck with MYOB and your accountant's stuck with MYOB, we can help you work with that too. We don't have quite as much expertise on dealing with MYOB because all of our clients have gone to Xero. It's that simple. Communications. Have you got a system for managing your emails and your correspondence so that when you do look back through your paper trail or your email trail, you can actually find things? We'll talk to you about that. That's part of the workshop. Customer relations. Now, this is as simple as automating things like frequently asked questions on your website, automating a system of newsletters that you send out to your clients, automating a system of marketing emails or Facebook marketing or Instagram marketing, whoever you're going to market your business, it really doesn't matter. It's about automation of that, putting it into a program that you don't have to think about it, that it does it automatically. You set it up once or you pay someone else to set it up once, and then it rolls out and you watch it happen and watch what feedback you get from it. It's not something that you then have to remember to do at 11:30 on a Saturday night. When you've had that. No, I mean, that's after 1:30, so you're probably not going to make any sense anyway.
No. And if you get deep into customer relations stuff, especially through social media, it can consume every spare second of your day. Just stay away from it.
Ain't that the truth?
You don't want to do it.
Here's the big one. What are your employees actually doing? Now, I've looked at time and motion studies in a number of business places over the years in my roles, both as manager and business coach in businesses. If you can get more than 55% productivity out of a person, so in 8 hours, if you can get 4.5 hours of productive time out of a person, you're doing exceptionally well. There are ways to get better. There are ways to do more than that. You still have to give people room to have a break, but if they've got a set task list that they're accountable to and they're accountable to you for, or to a manager that you put in place over the top of them, then you know how much work you're going to get out of that person on a day-to-day basis. Why is that important? Because if you can crack that 55% and get it to say 70%, then you've increased your productivity not by 15%. You've actually increased your productivity by about 25% because a quarter of 55 is that 15%. So you've got a 25% increase in productivity, which means a 25% increase in revenue, which may mean a 200% increase in profitability. If you don't understand that, come back to me, email us or something. Marketing, again, this is the whole social media thing. I mean, we've been over this. We've just actually engaged a social media company, Case Media, to specifically look after our Facebook and Instagram marketing. Why? Because they're the experts in it. It's not our job. It's not our capability. It's not our field of expertise. It's not our core business. Why the hell would we do it?
We're not efficient at it either. Like, for the dollars
and we have no idea what we're doing with it.
We can try, but yeah, it just doesn't seem to make sense at times.
And the last one is data. Data storage and knowing what your business has done in the past seems like a luxury until you actually go to sell your business. This is one of the systems, having your data backed up, having all of your systems backed up, having them all idiot-proofed, particularly if they're internet-based data systems, having them all idiot-proofed is going to be one of those things that gets you from that $260,000 sale price for your business, remember that's the end goal, to the $1.1 million sale price for your business. Now, I'm not saying that your business is going to increase fourfold in value at time of sale. It can, but every case is different.
Yeah. Yeah, the figures that are used by the accountants and that when they do valuations, they depend on a lot of
They're pretty conservative.
And it also depends on the industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is just what we've seen through businesses that we've helped set up and they've gone to sale.
And actually having your accounting done properly will allow an accountant and a business consultant or a business broker to work out the value of your business more effectively. When I was in the business brokerage game, the first thing we looked at was, have you paid your superannuation contributions? No? Then you're in trouble. We can't sell your business.
Yeah. I was going to make a good point then, but I can't remember. Just blew me out of the water with that one.
There's a few businesses out there that haven't. They're due tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah. This is the thing. You're going to spend time on your business and you're going to spend it either worrying about things or you're going to put it into something productive that's going to get you a better return. You get to choose how you spend your time. So you're either going to choose your time worrying or doing frivolous activities that are not going to increase the value of your business or give you any better lifestyle.
Yeah. Redesigning your logo. Yeah.
Or you're going to choose to do things that are going to increase the value, they're going to reduce the amount of time that you spend in your business, and they're going to give you the lifestyle you want. But you get to make the choice. And yeah, sometimes the transition is hard, but you still get to make the choice. So it's up to you.
So systemisation does affect your business financially. That affects your entire life financially. That difference between $260,000 is buying another business for $260,000 or buying a business for $260,000 and fixing it and taking the other $750,000 and investing it in real estate or shares, maybe real estate, okay, not shares, not at the moment, and definitely not inner city flats, okay? Don't do that right now. But
we don't offer financial advice, it's just our opinion.
Investing in real estate or something like that so that you've got a passive income that you don't have to turn up for. That's the name of the game. So end of this webinar, can you afford not to systemise your business? Seriously, can you afford to continue doing what you're doing and getting what you've been getting all this time? Or would you like to step it up a little bit and maybe increase your profitability a couple of times, change your lifestyle, reduce the number of hours you work, increase the value of your business as a going concern? Or would you rather stay doing what you're doing? And I don't see how that's a question.
No, for most of us not, unless you really, really love what you do.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Keep an eye out. We have got workshops each month. You can definitely find out about those.
Is it
the 31st of August?
31st of August.
But yeah, there's a workshop each month which will take you through the basics of setting this up. We also teach you how to use software to set up the basics of the systemisation, which will get you started. And then we also offer an extended program after that, which will actually help you and walk you through setting up all the basic systems to run your business. And obviously reduce the amount of time that you have to spend on your administration. So
this is the laziest guy on the planet. He's already done this in a couple of businesses. Follow him.
Yes, yeah, it gets me in trouble at times. People go, what do you actually do here? I said, I make it so I don't have to do anything. Anyway,
all good.
We'll see you guys in a fortnight. Thank you.
Take care.